Hey, future CPAs, welcome back to day 2 of the 5-day Pass the CPA exam challenge. So let's dig in. So day 2, we're going to be doing a deep dive into taking control of your time. So yes, you can plan all day long, but if you don't make time to CPA, you are setting yourself up for failure. So how do you spend your time? How do you make time? This is going to be the key. So today's agenda, we're going to be doing a recap of day number 1. We're going to be completing what's called a life audit of your schedule. And then we're going to be giving you a cheat sheet on how to hit 20 hours of study time per week, even if you are working full time. So really important stuff here. So day number 1 recap. Let's do this real quick. So fun fact, if you missed video 1, there is an easy access link below the video that will take you back to day number 1. So I highly recommend watching that video if you have not done so already. Otherwise, here's a quick review of what we learned. So the first step here is absolutely your mental mindset. So this is the key to passing. We had you complete that exercise where you wrote down your whys. So why must you become a CPA? So this is going to be what you go back to when the going gets tough. We also had you write down the worst case scenario plans. So what happens if you fail? That's a worst case scenario, and we want to be prepared for that just in case. But then we also wrote down our best case scenario plans. So if you start to find success, the temptation is to start getting lazy. So we want to avoid that at all costs. Next, we learned how to schedule a brand new section and the difference between that and a retake section. So basically for brand new sections, rule of thumb, spend 8 to 12 weeks if you're assuming you're working full time and can devote around 15 to 20 hours a week. For retake sections, depending on your score, you're going to need around 4 to 8 weeks. And again, depending on how long it's been since you sat for the section that you failed. So some key differences there that we discussed. And then finally, we had you fill out the 9-month pass plan. So basically, we discussed what order to sit for the exam, what happens if you fail, when would you sit for your retake, get those dates on the calendar. And then what happens if you pass? Then you move on to your next section, and then you need to give yourself enough time for that section and so forth. But the key thing here is not to schedule all 4 sections. So when you get an NTS, make sure there's only 1 to 2 sections that you have paid for. Because if you are not able to be flexible, then you're setting yourself up for a lot of trouble. Okay, so now that we have a plan of attack on paper, how do we actually execute? And before we do that, I do want to share a quick story about myself to bring all of this into some context. For those of you who don't know who I am, here's a quick 30-second rundown of how the passing the CPA exam had changed my life. So my name again is Brian Kessler. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of North Carolina. I've got 3 years of public accounting experience in audit, 3 years of industry experience, and over 10 years of experience helping CPA candidates pass the CPA exam, especially busy accountants working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So nothing gets me more excited than helping a senior in public accounting crack the code to passing so that they can finally earn their promotion. So I'm going to be honest with you. I struggled to pass the CPA exam, and a big part of that was because I did not make the time to study. So I just assumed the CPA exam was going to come naturally, like finding a job and passing college was for me. I could just cram for it and pass. But the reality was I lost my first job because I hadn't passed a single section of the CPA exam. And this was all happening during the Great Recession back in 2009. And so with the bad economy, my firm laid off 20% of its workforce. And me not having my CPA, it made me an easy no-brainer target. So at this point, I was at a very crucial crossroads in my career. So I'd lost my first job, hadn't passed any sections of the CPA exam. So was I going to give up on accounting and move into my parents' basement and become a lazy bum? Or was I going to buckle down and really figure this CPA exam passing process out? So thank goodness I decided to figure it all out, how to make time to CPA, which I was not doing before. And you might be surprised, but after dozens of hours of research and conversations, I discovered the truth that smart CPA candidates pass because they take the time to figure out how they learn best and create a personalized study system that maximizes their motivation, their time, learning strengths, and then work hard to leverage their relationships to keep them going no matter what happens. And it really didn't seem to matter what CPA study materials that my friends were using. And it had everything to do with how they used the tools they had and how they leveraged their CPA exam support system. And it's definitely not by following the legacy big box CPA review courses, one size fits all study and pray method that I was using to just shoot in the dark and hope that I was doing everything correct. And ultimately, that study and pray method led to me failing multiple times in a row. So we don't want to do that. So fast forward a couple months, I passed 2 sections of the CPA exam while I was unemployed, thanks to my new study system. Thankfully, I had a good enough network that I was able to find a new job after a couple months of being unemployed. And then a miracle happened. I passed the CPA exam a few short months later after transitioning into a full-time job and then tweaking my study system to account for working full time. And that was a struggle, but that is what changed my life, was adjusting my study system based on my current situation. So one final point before we dive into making time to CPA. So my entire career, heck, my life changed as a result of passing CPA exam. And trust me, if I can do it while working full time, I know you can too. It's all about, again, creating a personalized CPA study system and not about blindly following your big box CPA review course's generic advice on how to study and plan and make time to study. And before you ask, yes, I've taught the exact steps I followed to pass to thousands of people, and they have gotten the same results. So check out Julio. He was one of my mentees, and he recently passed. And I quote, he said, "Thank you, Brian. Your method is truly the way." So again, it's not about me. It's about the personalized study system and having somebody to teach you the method to follow to get results. Which brings us to the next step in the process to pass the CPA exam, taking your plan and then making time to execute. Okay, so quick analogy on the importance of making time to CPA. So studying for the CPA exam, it's not unlike climbing a mountain, and I do love to climb my mountains. So you can plan your climb all day long, map out your hike, make a checklist of everything to bring and the survival tools to bring just in case you get lost. But if you don't make time to train your lungs and your legs and make time to go shopping to buy what you need, it's going to be difficult to make it to the top. And so action is always greater than theory, right? So less talky, more doing. So similarly with the CPA exam, if you aren't making temporary sacrifices to create space in your schedule to study, plus cutting out non-essential items on your calendar, then it's going to be difficult to pass the CPA exam. So where should you start? I want to introduce you to an exercise that I created for myself that I want you to use as well, called performing a life audit. So this life audit exercise turned my world upside down in a good way. And fun fact, use the button below the video to download today's worksheet so that you can fill this out for yourself. And really, there are 3 core tenets to this exercise that you want to be aware of. So step number 1 is to make a list of what is more important in your life than becoming a CPA. So write down a list of everything that you consider more important than becoming a CPA, like family, your health, things like that. And again, these are the things in your life that you need to make a priority over studying, because sometimes it's really easy for the CPA exam to just consume everything. And it's the only thing that you can see in your life. So we want to avoid that at all costs. So the next step is what is less important than becoming a CPA in your life. So make a comprehensive list of the things in your life that are fun, but are non-essential. And these are things that you can temporarily sacrifice until you pass a CPA exam. For example, non-essential work committees, volunteer work, bowling league, social media, TV series, and maybe you got a side hustle or something like that. These are all things that can go on the back burner until after you pass the CPA exam. And then finally, you need to make a list also of what activities you will use as rewards for getting studying done. So again, all these things that are less important in your life than becoming a CPA, they're fun. They're what make your life full of enjoyment. So again, use them as rewards for hitting your study goal. And this is really what's going to keep you grounded, and it gives you a way to continue to enjoy life while studying. And trust me, the people in your life, like your family and significant others, your friends, they're going to appreciate you a whole lot more and will understand where you're coming from if you can get them involved in this process of rewarding yourself for achieving study goals. Okay, so how do you fit 20 hours of study time in per week? And I talk to a lot of CPA candidates, and many of them, their eyes glaze over when I make this recommendation because it feels impossible. But trust me, even if you're working over 50 hours a week, you can make time to study. And I'm not going to lie, it will be hard, but you can do this. And it's all about being extremely nitpicky with your time. So step number 1, pull up a spreadsheet, make a spreadsheet, and you need to find 1 to 2 hours per weekday to study. So whether it's during lunch, maybe a little bit of time after dinner or right before bed, whatever you can do to hit around 1 to 2 hours a day is going to be crucial. And this is really important here. So if you have a significant other and or kids, you really need to carve out dedicated time to spend with them every single day if you can. So if you are home after dinner, spend 30 minutes, take a walk with the family, do whatever you need to do to make them feel cared for. So that I can't tell you how important that is, because you need to stay grounded in reality and not let the CPA exam suck you up. So then the next step, 4 to 8 hours on Saturdays. And if you're working on Saturdays, please try to negotiate with your manager and try to plan ahead. Maybe work a half day on Saturday and then spend your afternoon studying, and then in the evening go out, do something fun, and then come back and do a couple more hours before bed on Saturdays. Like this, it's something that you need to really try to take control of if you're working a lot of hours. And then on Sunday, I do recommend trying to take Sunday morning and the afternoon off, just because you do need mental breaks. So that was my goal, not studying Sunday morning or afternoon, and then spend Sunday evening reviewing and then planning the rest of my week. So if you can start to find consistency in your study schedule, even if you're traveling a lot, it will make all the difference. And again, the key is to have the right study tools that will allow you to study on the go. So what's coming up next? So in the next step in your journey, it's going to begin on day number 3. So day 3, we're going to be discussing how to grasp, understand retention, and more retention. So once you've crafted the perfect plan for your CPA exam journey and made the space in your schedule to follow it, it's time to learn how to study, how to use your CPA review course, and how to grasp what you learn and retain it just in time for exam day. So watch your inbox for the announcement for day number 3 being released, or you can skip to the bottom of the page and take a sneak peek at what we're covering in day number 3 if you're super motivated and want to learn more about study loops. So thanks again for attending today. Really hope that you found the life audit exercise useful. And I really hope that you're well on your way to hitting around 15 to 20 hours a week of study time. Because if you can do that, then you can hit your high intensity goals and you're going to find a lot more success. All right, guys, catch up with you in the next challenge video.